Hello, everyone. Wow, I love hearing that from artists, actually using the render network and finding it invaluable. That really gives me a lot of energy in terms of, the value we deliver here. Absolutely great to hear.
That's been such a fun project this year, and it keeps coming up in the story,
Yeah.
and the visuals have been a fantastic inspiration since they came out. And repeating what the artist said, if you haven't checked it out, do. It's a lot of fun. That one lady having a moment up against a pillar, that's there for everyone.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I was very lucky to see it in person just a couple of weeks ago, and I honestly really hope this is a format that extends, that we see it more than just in New York, and people really get to experience art in a way that's fundamentally different from, you know, typically how we experience art today.
absolutely.
Yeah, man. Wow. Well, I can't believe it. It's another year in. That's it's gone in a flash, and I mean, an amazing first day here.
I am so pumped. I mean, I was looking at my smile in my head, thinking like, "Is this artificial?" And like, no, I'm actually super excited. The panels this morning have been fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm loving the story they tell and the message they give about story being the central theme here. Really more so than the technology, even though that's what we spend our days kind of
Right.
improving.
Yeah, it's so amazing to sort of hear the storytellers and see it stripped away, see people be able to go from story to creation on their own. Wow. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, well, they've lined us up with the slides. So, a quick little recap of the last year. Um, Last year was our first RenderCon. This year I'm calling our best RenderCon. Is everybody okay with that? Fantastic. Thank you. Thanks so much for being here. You really are what make it a thing. And outside of the panels, the number of high quality conversations I'm having and seeing outside, what really thrills me about a day like this. Moving into the numbers a little bit, on the render network, the rendering side, we've onboarded 40% more compute in the year, and we're building some really cool tools, giving us some deeper insights into how we might manage that better, and we're hoping to expand that in the near future. We've hit a little milestone. For those who understand our burn mint model, we have burned more than 1 million render in usage. It's actually, I think, around 1.3. So that's a mark in time,
Yeah, I love that. It will only go up from there.
right?
Yeah.
And some of the other cool numbers that Dino put together for us, we rendered over 20 million frames in the last year, and that equates to over 100 years worth of work. 108 years worth of work, in fact, done last year.
I
So
love
a
that.
really cool story,
Yeah.
and it feels like it's just the beginning of
Yeah.
what's potentially out there. Serving our community, we gave out 276 grants, and shout out to Sunny. I think he was on stage earlier for managing that process for us. So that's
Yeah.
thank you. Almost 3 times what we did the prior year. And again, on the community side, we've supported 5 community proposals, which are driving the project forward in super interesting ways. And we'll delve a little more into one of those. I think we can jump. Moving more onto the story of the last year. I put Submerge on the slide thinking I was going to be able to talk about it, but it's already been covered so deeply. And
Right.
really glad to have caught some of the last session
Yeah.
and heard from the artists what their experience was, because one, it was fun to be there, but it's really nice to hear about it through the eyes of the artists
Yeah.
in their lens. And you probably recognize the artwork I picked for this. This is Wu Sung's piece. Same on the previous slide. It's just been so much fun. And we had this when we did our takeover of the Etihad Arena last December in Abu Dhabi, which fantastic event and great showcase. We had this on the banner outside the stadium. It looked absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a wow. Just on a giant stadium to really see our logo and
For
the takeover
sure.
aspect. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So the latest changes in the network include expansion into a second subnet, which is disperse.com. And the team have been working really hard to bring out new applications that run on a dispersed network. And this is similar to the rendering network, but it is designed for general compute. So it's a Dockerized model where you can go in and run whatever job you might need. Some of the tools coming out, and we'll be touching on these a little more, are really super cool and designed to benefit from the parallel processing that you can get in a distributed network. Really cool things coming there. I've seen some of that, and it's super exciting. On a similar vein, our most recent community proposal, that's the RNP, was to bring Salad Network into our ecosystem. They'll be running with the render token as their payment rails, and exciting things happening there, more to come. But they have, on a daily basis, about 60,000 GPUs online, and so a huge kind of pool of potential compute power. And then the types of things that are running on that, Otoy Studio, which you've heard about today, a fantastic toolbox with applications that benefit from the type of compute that we can offer in a decentralized way.
Amazing.
I think we can hop over. So Merch Store, guys, this is a lot of fun. If you haven't been there, we had the community kick down our door to bring this together, and Stephen on our artist team has done a fantastic job coordinating. So I have to give a shout out to Patty, who did a lot of the back end for this as well. But really cool things on there. It's an exhibition of art that kind of brings the ethos of the project together, right?
Well, I'd say on the merch store here, you've only got a subset of that. I really recommend you go online and see. There's some great artist-driven designs. I was wearing one of those T-shirts yesterday, and it's got a download motif that everyone loves if you've used the render network.
I think it's on the mug.
Yeah, there we go, on the mug.
Yeah.
So we're very happy to have ticked that one off, and would absolutely love to see more folks wearing those and telling the story.
Well, fantastic. Shall we drill a little bit into a recap of the day?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's super hard to recap on a day like this. For me, the quality of what we saw generated was just insane. First, our tech house and the in-person nature of it, and really for us, we're excited to see this become something that scales, that really fits the story of the render network in a different way. I just don't believe you could have produced a work of that scale in that time frame without the render network, without having the parallel processing and the cost that is inherent to it. I was sitting there thinking of the 100 years, how much was our tech house. I'd warrant a good chunk because it's the large scale displays.
And I mean, to emphasize that point, that all came together really quickly. We had the concept, and once we said, all right, are we going to do this thing? Let's do it. And our tech house said, all right, well, we've got this gap, and it's like right there. So I don't know if the artist mentioned this while we were getting mic'd up, but they really pulled together to get this out in a really short timeline, and that really, at the same time, their efforts, but the ability of the network to help them deliver.
Without a doubt. It was the artists who were amazing in a real crunch time situation, and the internal team who really had to step up. We were really just at that stage launching Blender as a new product on the network, and so to have artists actually using that on a large scale distribution at that time was crazy. And thank you so much to the team for having weathered through that and got an amazing exhibition out. Beyond that, I mean, I am so excited about what Otoy and Alex Ross are going to cook up together. I walked away from that talk. It really had a different perspective from many of these talks. It was a creator talking about really how he creates, and that he's really a painting medium first, and the ability to have that vision translated without any intermediaries, without many of the limitations that he's found along the way were staggering to me.
Absolutely. I remember painting with gouache in high school in my art class, and it is a fantastic medium, but like to try and generate the quantity and the quality that Alex has generated is really, it's inspiring.
Yeah, and then the Star Wars piece, the Beggar's Canyon piece, I mean, it's absolutely crazy to me that one individual did that part-time in what was it, 13 weeks?
Oh, was it 13?
Yeah. Well, he said full-time, if he was dedicated, it wouldn't take him more than 3 to 4 weeks. But the one area that stands out there is the cost. An absolute fraction of whatever it would have taken in old means. And so, that was a great first point. But where it really blew it away for me was where Jules then brought it back into 3D. And that was probably the most exciting aspect for me of that talk, was seeing that these aren't disparate systems, that there's a path towards taking world model outputs that maybe are not great and do glitch, and pulling them into a ground source truth, and being able to use the tools and processes that our motion graphics artists are used to using. That really energizes me, that along with the splat aspect. I cannot wait to see what people now produce the next year using these. I'm just amazed. And a lot of Canvas isn't yet on the render network. A lot of these disparate parts need to come together, but I can see a path towards more and more of it being on render, and that's exciting.
Super. Yeah, I mean, and I hope I'm not jumping ahead too much, but Richard Karras makes the point, democratizing storytelling, and I'm really super excited to see what comes out from the cultures that are still so deeply rooted in their history and their story-driven history. That are located elsewhere in the world, maybe not having access to the same resources.
Yeah. Fede was great, sort of talking from a Uruguay perspective and a language perspective, and really how this is all being broken down. I'd say the other area that I started to see a big thread emerging from, and this really started when I watched Jensen's talk, was he spoke a lot about we're transitioning into the agentic AI era. And I didn't really understand what that meant, but the more I've looked into the fundamental tools that are coming into play, we've been hearing this term MCP a lot today, and for those of us who are less programmers, it's a bit nebulous. But what I understand from this is we're starting to see interoperability at a level that just didn't exist before. And that's really, really important. When we combine pieces like Blender, like the render network, like Dispersed, and like OTOR, you see productions like you could on the Becker's Canyon side. And I honestly think with Darren being a little bit more integrated with a team, you'll get to an even faster outflow than just an individual trying to use AI, to something that's more unified and really what our motion graphics artists community can really help on and can excel using. So I'm absolutely excited there, and it was great to hear the open source guys like Blender are moving in that direction. It's great to see the Lightrix folks also trying to be part of this, and open source is such a critical part for us on the render network, because the open source models are the models we can run on Dispersed, that we can actually drive usage on the network from. So these building blocks are fundamental towards us driving that usage and scaling the network. So, showing the involvement from both of these parties really, really gets me excited about, looking forward and seeing more and more of these jobs happening on the network. It's great to see, and, thank you to Blender and LTX for really being part of this. Then, finally, and I suppose this follows some of that vein, I really saw today how world models actually can become useful. And I'd been a bit lost because I'd played with them and they'd glitched, and it wasn't really that exciting to me. But when we paired them with pulling them through in a format, in a splat format, into Octane or into Blender, that brought things to life for me. And I honestly think you're going to hear the splat theme tomorrow in many different ways, because this is so important. A neural object really is a beneficial element to how we can build things. We can input faster with these neural objects, and I love that they are a bridge between the two. I don't think it's where we're going to end up. I think we're going to have a different format in the future, but the fact that we have something that now works, that is going into standards, is amazing, because I can only see that progressing in the right way from there. And they can be created, they can be generated. It really doesn't matter. To me, it's back to that interoperability. So, that's fantastic. Also,
I was going to say, our community is super excited, right? Almost every artist I talk to is working with splats, and it's taken me a little bit to wrap my head around it, but I think I really now get it. You have a 3D object that you can go and use all your traditional tools to perfect.
Yeah. It was when Jules showed it, sort of pulling the whole scene into Blender, and you realized, wow, this makes it an actual scene as opposed to this, AI-generated object.
And much more low data bandwidth.
Yeah, fantastic. and then what the folks are doing on the SOTA side, the state-of-the-art model side, on the Kling side is phenomenal. I can't believe that Beggar's Canyon output was generated by one individual. So it sort of shows where we're going here on this. And I think as these tools get into broader artists' hands, it's only going to get better. Richard's key point to me was runway running on a Vera Rubin deck or stack actually unlocked real time. That's very scary. I mean, that is a huge step forward. And for those of you who saw Imad's talk, it's always been a vision for us to get to that holodeck point. And it isn't just software, it isn't just AI, it's a combination of hardware and community sort of getting us to that point. But I mean, I can really see year-on-year developments that we're getting towards there, and fitting with our Star Trek ethos, we're marching towards that holodeck and getting closer and closer, which is exciting to see.
So we're creating content for people to have in their room, in their home-based holodeck.
Well, look at the our tech house immersive pieces. There's all these various sub-elements that are getting us there, sort of closer and closer as they become more real time. As they become more
So faster, better tools just means bigger, more creative projects.
Yeah, which is more render work, hopefully, and more dispersed. Then I don't want to steal too much from tomorrow, but there's a lot of input coming. First up, the upcoming rewrite of the Render Network front end is amazing. I think there's a ton that artists are actually going to be really excited by. On top of that, to actually do it, we're going to have to extend the APIs, and that will help on everything agentic and MCP too. So there's a long way all of this could go. But it's been a long time since we refreshed the web portal, and it's amazing. Tomorrow you'll get to see elements of this. What you can see up there now on that flashby is a different view from the download view you saw on the mug. It's going to be more a visual timeline that you can sort of scroll through, drill in, see the black frame that's associated with it, and pull out. So there's many innovations that make a ton of sense. The team have done an amazing job on the web app, and a lot of that has been pulled into on the upload download manager, and a lot of that has been pulled into the web app design here. And I think we're going to see a new interface, but a ton of great new features. And I really recommend you guys listen to Dino's talk on this one tomorrow. So that's step one. Then the second one that you see here is dispersed running. And if I could just translate a couple of things from dispersed now, what we see on dispersed is it is really ready for launch. We have a set of admin panels, we have documentation, we have partners integrating to the extent where it's starting to get exciting. And all of the building blocks that are needed to get there seem to fall into place over the last couple of months. And talking to Otoy, talking to some of the partners you'll hear from tomorrow, we're starting to see actual use cases emerge. And for me, it's really all about these use cases. It was somewhat hard to see them as we started moving into this. Now we're starting to realize, the growing library of Docker recipes are really important. We've got the structure, we've got the nodes, we've got our solid partnerships, so we've got enough nodes out there. And two of the things that probably excite me the most that you'll see in the second talk, that will be Danny's talk tomorrow, are talking about how we'll be able to run Blender jobs on dispersed nodes. So not just running rendering jobs on render nodes, but actually being able to run them now on dispersed nodes and do them in a different way. And I love that because the convergence we're talking about in terms of AI and our traditional flows hopefully converges also on the node side and leads to more work. So I'm looking forward to that. The other thing is a lot has come together on generating splats. And you'll see that first on dispersed, then more simply in Otoy Studio, and finally, hopefully within the tools you guys use. So deeply integrated into Octane so that you don't need to leave and use another tool to do that. And the building blocks to do that on dispersed are all in place. Some of the innovations the team have done is they've integrated papers that are brand new that others haven't yet. So I think you're going to see a real resource to generate many splats in parallel, to do it at a really low cost and to do it fast. And those are the types of problems that we really love to solve on the render network side. So I'm really excited there. And then I'd say finally, Manifest are here. They're one of our launch partners, and they've got a whole new group of AI native customers who are looking to use Dispersed. And I think it's great to hear about the types of use cases and the folks who are actually, going to be using Dispersed and nodes on the network, because that's really the lifeblood of our system. And it's really important to focus on this demand, the use cases that drive it. And then as we see these use cases emerge, we're going to have to scale up, right? And I was absolutely ecstatic when Salad, announced they'd like to join us. I think the community did a great job of marshalling through that proposal. And, from our side, we are so happy to officially have them on board. What's great for us today here is we have an additional visitor I'd like to now welcome up, but we have Kyle Dodson, the CTO of Salad here, and Kyle, please come join us.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Fantastic. Welcome, Kyle. I've got some points I just want to lay out there for you guys to understand the scale of what we're bringing in here. But, Salad's current run rate, the addition of Salad to the network, will immediately double our on-chain revenue. So, this is a big deal for us as a network. This is a partner stepping in with tangible customers, with tangible revenue. And, not only that, but 10x the nodes we currently have, so scale that we can immediately put to work as we look at demand on the render side, and really only push from there. So I'm absolutely excited about that. And then finally, the fact we're able to put this all together within our existing model, that we were able to use network reserves, that we were able to use scheduled emissions to get it in place was really promising. I thought the community rallied really well. And, I couldn't be happier to have you guys on board. So, welcome.
Thank you. We're very excited.
I think maybe, seeing as you're new to a lot of the folks, I think it would be great to just hear, how you guys got to the point of wanting to join the Render Network and what drove that process.
Yes. So Salad's been around for a little over 7 years now, growing our network, as you said, to that scale. The number of customers and the use cases are actually very diverse. A lot of different types of applications and things going on. And as we've done this, right, it's all been done on distributed compute, and that's been the big theory, the big bet that we've been trying to build on top of. And as a team, as we've done this scaling, we've come to see what opportunities exist by moving further into decentralization. And what kind of doors that opens for different types of use cases and applications. So moving into that, we started to investigate a lot of different possibilities and options. And in that, we very seriously considered creating our own token.
Right.
But as we did kind of assessments across the landscape, looked at what was going on, we sort of thought the world didn't need another utility token. There's a lot of great ones out there. So we started reaching out to some of the top projects, Render being one of those. And through some tests, some integration work, some ideas, ultimately we landed on RNP 23 and got to work through that with the Render community, and here we are.
Fantastic. We're so happy that you guys chose us and you're coming on board. So I got a question from a lot of the community. Sort of, we've done this before. We tried to onboard some other partners and didn't really get liftoff. So I get questions on what's different here, and more importantly for you, how's the integration actually going?
Yes.
Is there a timeline, and is it current?
So we are, is it 2 weeks past the close of the vote, right?
Yep.
And integration-wise, we are moving forward, full steam ahead. So I have a couple of different teams working on different elements of the milestones and the integrations that we've agreed to. We have the two sides of the marketplace. We have the customers coming in to rent compute, and then we have we call them our chefs, the suppliers of compute hardware,
Right.
who are renting that out. On the customer side, so the paying for compute, we're currently working on getting a Solana Pay and Render integration, so our customers can purchase their compute credits to use Salad Cloud through that.
Right.
We're hoping that that's a matter of a few weeks that we'll be able to be able to bring that online. The integration on so it's actually listed as the first milestone in the RNP, but the option to have our chefs receive render tokens as a reward for the compute that they rent, that work has also kicked off. That's going to take a little bit longer to get done. We know there's a bit more of a roadmap to do on that, but still, we're talking within a matter of several weeks, we'll see those rewards coming online as that first stage of integration.
Amazing.
But even more exciting, I think, is just in the last few days, a few of us were able to actually take brand new product that we've been working on just the last month and a half. We're launching a AI gateway product, so very similar to an open router, OpenAI, Anthropic style API for LLM inference. That product is currently available, and we just brought online yesterday the ability to, on demand, pay with render tokens without needing to create a Salad Cloud account, purchase credits, or do anything else. So we did our first transactions yesterday.
This is fantastic.
Yes.
All right, so on-chain and live
On-chain.
already.
And live already.
Amazing.
Anybody with a Solana wallet with render tokens can go and hit it now and start doing inference.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That's fantastic. Yes. Wow. Wow. All right.
So has it really only been 2 weeks?
Yeah.
We could check it, right?
I think it's less than that, actually.
Oh, is it less
it's
than 2 weeks?
probably a
Okay,
week.
well,
Yeah.
there we go. Yes.
Phenomenal. Phenomenal. Well, that's really exciting. When you look out sort of in terms of roadmap and opportunities you guys are trying to go after, I'm guessing this is a big part of it, that, you know, the agentic compute is an area to lean into.
It's huge, as a lot of people today have been talking about, right? The shortage of hardware is really a big story, and that's part of what we're working towards, what we know Dispersed and Render is also working towards, right? Bringing the latent compute that exists all over the world online into a very easily accessible network. And agentic compute, these AI agents that are coming, it's only ramping up even more and more. So what we see is this opportunity, this idea of pay for your AI inference, pay for MCP servers that you were just talking about a moment ago. All of these can be done through a Solana wallet with render tokens on demand. Arm an AI agent with a Solana wallet, and it can be autonomous with its own budget to go accomplish tasks.
That's fantastic. Fantastic. I know, having spoken to the Solana team, this is actually a current focus, and so I love the timing. I think this is fortuitous.
It's very exciting.
Amazing, amazing. Fantastic, folks. Well, pivoting, and I'd love to keep you here with us, but as we do every year, like to give just a brief check on sort of the health of the network from a financial perspective.
Yeah, so a slight change from last year's RenderCon. During the period in the interim, we have introduced monthly reports, and on a 6-monthly basis, those include financials. So for those of you who track those monthly reports that Sylvia generates, and I think most people know Sylvia, and she was introduced here last year when a couple of weeks after she joined us. Is my mic on? Yeah, thanks. So towards the end of the last year, we closed out the year with 4.6 million render in reserves on the network side of things, and we've allocated approximately 1.5 million render for the Salad integration. And I say approximately because 1 million of that is in warrants, and the remaining amount is in dollars. So of course the exchange will tell us ultimately as that unwinds. And then on the foundation operations side, we closed out the year with 2 million render balance. So yeah, I mean, comfortable and pleased to have that, as we've gone into a sort of sustained period of kind of crypto spring.
Uncertainty. Yeah.
Winter, spring.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I've loved the monthly reports, and thank you for the team for doing those. I think it's added an investor perspective that has really helped, and amazing to see.
Absolutely. So I think for our panel, that leaves the thank yous. So first and foremost, thank you to all the guests who've joined us, and hopefully we'll see you again tomorrow. The VIPs, and of course the speakers. you know, I think last year and the same this year, there's a specific shout out to Jules who really just rocks it. I mean, you know, he's up here for hours and it's not repetitive. There's fresh content. It's cutting edge the whole way through, and he knows exactly what's going on. It's really quite a Herculean effort. So thanks to Jules and the Otoy team who worked really hard. You want to clap? Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
And then Sylvia and the Render Foundation team. You know, Sylvia's done a really fantastic job doing a coordination around pulling this together here. And then, of course, Ellie and the LFG team, Alex and Ilza and Ramon. They've been fantastic to work with both times around, and I think we can all agree that it's just another fantastic setup again this year. So yeah, with that.
I don't, is Jules around?